Welcome to this story of change, courage, and rediscovering life. Let's follow this powerful journey together. I worked every single day. I saved every bit of money. I didn't buy new clothes. I didn't go on holidays. I didn't eat out. People told me, you should enjoy life. But I didn't listen. I wanted more money. I wanted to feel secure. I wanted to be ready for anything. So I worked harder. I saved more. My bank account grew, but my life stayed the same. My house was small. My car was old. My clothes were plain. I didn't care. I thought, one day I'll have enough. One day I'll rest. But that day never came. Each time I looked at my savings, I thought, not yet. I need more. I watched others travel, eat good meals, buy nice things. But I told myself they were careless. They didn't think about the future. Then one evening, everything changed. I was driving home. It was dark and raining hard. I gripped the wheel tightly. I was careful. But then bright lights came at me fast. A loud crash, a strong impact. My car spun. My head hit something. Pain spread through my body. Everything went black. I woke up in a hospital. The walls were white. The lights were bright. My body ached. My arms, legs, and chest were sore. A doctor stood by me. He said, "You are lucky. The crash was bad, but you will recover." I looked at my hands. I moved my legs. I was alive, but I was scared. What if I had died? What if I had no more time? What would happen to my money? What about all my plans? I lay in the hospital bed thinking. I had saved money but never used it. I had worked hard but never enjoyed life. I had waited, but for what? I thought about my days, wake up, go to work, save money, sleep, again and again. No happiness, no adventure, no memories, just waiting. That night, I made a choice. I didn't want to wait anymore. I didn't want to just save. I wanted to live. The hospital was silent. I lay in bed looking at the ceiling. My body still hurt, but my mind was awake. I thought about all my years working. I had never taken a break. I had never traveled. I had never done anything fun. My life was always the same. Work, eat, sleep, repeat. Now I was lying in this hospital bed and realized something. Money couldn't change this moment. My savings couldn't stop the pain. A nurse walked in. She smiled and asked, "How do you feel?" I said I was okay. She checked my pulse and wrote on her chart. "You're lucky?" she said. "Most people don't survive bad accidents." Her words stayed with me. I was lucky. I was still here. But what if I hadn't been? What if my life had ended that night? I had spent years saving. But for what? I had not lived. I had only waited. The doctor came later and told me I needed rest. He said there were no broken bones, but my body needed time to heal. I nodded, but my thoughts were somewhere else. Rest? I never rested. I always worked. I always saved. But now I couldn't work. I had to stop. I had to think. The crash had shown me the truth. My life was empty. I had spent my time collecting money, not collecting moments. I had built a future I might never see. That night, I couldn't sleep. I thought about all the things I had missed. I had never seen the ocean. I had never climbed a mountain. I had never danced in the rain. I had never tried new food. I had never watched a sunset without thinking about work. I had been too focused on one day. But when was that day? When would I finally live? I didn't know. I made a promise to myself. When I left the hospital, I would change. I would stop waiting. I wouldn't live for money. I would live for life. I would travel. I would try new things. I would enjoy every moment. I would stop saying not yet because life does not wait. And I didn't want to wait anymore. The days in the hospital felt long. I watched the clock. I listened to the hallway sounds. I waited for the doctor. My body hurt, but my mind was clear. I thought about my life before the crash. I had been careful. I had been smart. I had saved money. But I had not lived. I had only worked. And for what? The nurse brought my food. She smiled and said, You are getting stronger." I nodded. She placed the tray in front of me and left. I looked at the simple food. Bread, soup, and tea. I picked up the spoon and took a bite. It was warm. It tasted good. I had never noticed small things like this before. I had always been too busy thinking about work. But now I had time, and for the first time, I enjoyed a simple meal. Later, the doctor checked my wounds. He said I could go home soon. I nodded. Home. My small house, my old car, my quiet life. But now everything felt different. I didn't want to go back to the same routine. I didn't want to wait for the future anymore. I wanted to change, but how? I wasn't sure. That evening I looked out the window. The sun was going down, and the sky turned red and gold. It was beautiful. I had never really watched a sunset before, because I was always too busy working. But now I sat still and watched the colors change. I felt the moment and smiled. The next day I stood up for the first time. My legs were weak, but I walked slowly. The nurse helped me. She said, "You are strong." I didn't feel strong. I felt different, like a man who had been sleeping for years and was finally awake. I did not want to waste another day. I wanted to live. That night, I made a choice. When I left the hospital, I would do something new. I would take a trip. I didn't know where or how, but I knew one thing. I was done waiting. My life was just beginning. The day finally came. The doctor told me, "You can go home." I packed my things. The nurse helped me to the door and smiled. "Take care of yourself," she said. I nodded. I stepped outside. The air felt fresh. The sky was blue. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. I was free. I was alive. I got into a taxi. The driver asked, "Home?" I paused. My home was small and quiet, just like before, but I was not the same. I looked out the window. The city was busy. People moved fast. Cars hurried by. I thought, where do I want to go? For the first time, I didn't want to go home. I wanted something new. At home, everything would be the same. My bed, my chair, my table. But I had changed. I sat down and looked around. My house was simple. My life was simple. But I wanted more. I wanted to see different places and try new things. I had saved money for years, and now it was time to use it. I opened my laptop and searched for places to visit. Beaches, mountains, cities. There were so many choices. I had never done this before. I had always said, "Not now, maybe later." But now I was ready. I was excited. I chose a small town by the sea. It was far away and different. I bought a ticket. My hands shook. I had never bought a ticket before. My heart beat fast. I was nervous, even scared, but also happy. This was something new. This was a beginning. The next morning I packed my bag, clothes, shoes, a book. I looked at my house one last time. It had been my world for years, my safe place. But now I was ready to leave. I locked the door and took a deep breath. My journey was starting. At the airport it was loud and busy. People talked, luggage rolled, announcements came through the speakers. I held my ticket and looked at the planes. I had never been on a plane before. I had never traveled. But now it was time. I walked forward without looking back. The plane took off, and I looked out of the window. The city looked small below me. The clouds were soft and white. My heart was beating fast. I had always stayed on the ground, always played it safe. But now I was high in the sky, going somewhere new. It felt strange, but exciting. The flight was long, but I didn't feel tired. I watched people around me. Some read, some slept, some talked. I wondered how many of them had done this before. For them, maybe this was normal. For me, it was the first time. This was the start of something new. I smiled, feeling proud of myself. When the plane landed, I felt nervous. The airport was big, and people moved fast. I took my bag and followed the signs. I stepped outside. The air was warm, the sky bright. Everything looked new. The buildings, the streets, the people, nothing was familiar. But I felt something different. I felt free. I took a taxi to my hotel. The driver spoke to me. "First time here?" he asked. I nodded. "Yes," I said. He smiled. "You will love it," he told me. I looked out the window. The streets were full of life. People were walking and talking. Music played in the air. I could smell the sea. I had never seen the sea before, except in pictures. But now I was here. At the hotel, I checked in. My room was small but nice. A bed, a chair, a window with a view of the ocean. I put down my bag and sat on the bed. I had traveled far. I had done something new. I had left my old life behind. I had taken the first step. It felt good. I felt different. I felt alive. That evening I walked to the beach. The sand was soft under my feet. The waves moved slowly. The sound of the water was peaceful. I stood there and watched. The sun was setting. The sky turned orange and pink. It was beautiful. I had never seen anything like it before. I had never taken the time. But now I was here, and I wasn't in a hurry. I sat down and listened to the waves. I thought about my old life, about the years I had spent working and saving. I had been careful and smart, but I had not been happy. I had waited too long. I had lost too much time, but not anymore. I was done waiting. I took off my shoes and stepped into the water. It was cold, but I didn't mind. I laughed. I felt the waves touch my skin. It was a small thing, but it felt big. It felt new. It felt like my first step into a different life, a life I really wanted to live. The night air was cool, and the beach grew quiet. I sat there for a long time. I watched as the stars came out in the night sky. I had never looked at them like this before. I had always been too busy. But now I had time. No plans, no work, no stress. Just this moment, and it was enough. I closed my eyes and listened. I heard the waves, the wind through the trees, and the quiet voices of people passing by. This was living. This was what I had missed. Not money, not work, not saving for a future that might never come. But moments like this, simple and real. I took a deep breath. I felt calm. I felt happy. I had spent years waiting for the perfect moment, but now I saw the truth. The perfect moment doesn't exist. Life is happening now, and I was ready to live it. The morning sun came through my window. I opened my eyes slowly and listened. No alarm clock, no rush, just the sound of the sea outside. I got up and went to the window. The ocean stretched far, golden under the sunlight. I took a deep breath and smiled. It was my last day here, but it did not feel like an ending. It felt like the beginning of something new. After breakfast, I decided to go for a long walk. The streets were busy, full of people living their lives. I passed small shops, colorful homes, and children playing on the street. Everything felt warm and alive. I had spent years ignoring moments like this, always thinking about work and saving. But now I wanted to enjoy everything. I wanted to see, hear, and feel it all. I reached the beach and sat on the sand. The waves moved calmly back and forth. I thought about my old life, all those long hours working, the quiet nights alone, the money I saved but never spent. I had been so careful, so worried about losing what I had, that I had forgotten to live. But life was not just for saving. It was for living, and I was ready to live more. Later that day, I met a man with a small boat. He asked if I wanted to visit an island nearby. I hesitated. Before this trip, I would have said no. I would have worried about the cost or the risk. But now I smiled and said yes. The boat moved gently on the water. The wind touched my face. I closed my eyes and felt everything. It was simple, but beautiful. On the island, I walked alone for a while. The sand was white, and the trees were tall and green. I picked up a small, smooth rock. I held it in my hand and thought about all that had happened. The accident, the hospital, the choice to change. I had been given a second chance, and I was not going to waste it. As the sun set, I went back to town. I stopped at a small cafe and ordered tea. The owner, an older woman, smiled at me. "First time here?" she asked. I nodded. "Yes," I said, "but not the last." She laughed and poured the tea. "Good," she said. "Life is too short to stay in one place." I smiled. I understood that now. That night, I sat by the sea one more time. The stars were bright. The waves were soft. I thought about my future. I had saved for years, but I had never truly lived. Now I knew what I wanted. I wanted to travel, meet new people, and collect memories instead of money. The next morning, I packed my bag. But this time, I was not just going home. I was moving forward into a life where I was not only working and waiting, but really living. I looked at the sea one last time, then turned away, ready for what was next. This was not the end of my story. It was only the beginning. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video, subscribe for more, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps bring more inspiring stories to you.